Wow, that just took me back. That was like something I wrote when I was like 16. Weird. I don't know. Yeah, anybody else out there just happen to have like ideas that they came up when they were a kid or teenager or in their bedroom, and 40 years later it pops back into your head somehow? I mean, I haven't played that in a million years. I lost the tape that I made a little, 4-track demo with that, and it had like harmony leads over it, bendy, not like crazy tapping or anything, just wow, so weird. But it wasn't dropped down like that. It was maybe C sharp. But well, hello world, welcome to Raccoon Point Studios. I'm Sean Bombs. Today is Pedalboard Diaries Part 3. Just, if you're into it, then cool. Subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell. If not, you know what I mean? No sweat. I'm just, into a different realm lately with life and pedals and what I want to do. I'm ready to put a band together again and just start jamming and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I put together my pedal board. It was in disarray for a few years, actually. A lot because I was taking pedals off of it to demo on here, and then I was trying so many different pedals out on this channel, like buying them. Only a few I got sent, but I'd say 95 to 98% of the gear that has been showcased on this channel has been purchased with my own money. So again, subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell. It goes a long way to help me out and all that fun stuff. I really don't even know where this channel's going at this point. It's not I'm not sitting here trying to be a freaking full-time YouTuber like some other people. No shade to anybody that does that, but I'm just busy with sessions and video work and all that other fun stuff. So, but I like to throw these things in here, and I'm just not into the consumerism anymore aspect of YouTube. Like, I like to hear about new gear and stuff like that, cameras and pedals and synths and stuff like that, but it's just like chasing the next thing is just tiresome. Very tiresome. I just want to create. If you're into that, let me know. If you're on that wave, if you're feeling that way, let me know. I have allergies right now because we went from 20 degrees blizzards to 60 degrees the past few days. So that's why I sound like stuffy. Anyway, this is Pedalboard 3. If you stuck around, thanks. So today I want to really go over the H90 a little bit and why I bought that. I had the H9 for 6 years. I don't remember. Quite a few years. And I think that pedal's amazing. The sound's awesome. The user interface, not so awesome. Using an iPad helps. You pretty much need it, but for most of the stuff, I used it for sounds that I wanted, songs that I already had, and as a smaller form factor for certain effects that it does that can mimic other pedals that I had, kind of thing. Mainly like delays and stuff like that. So it worked well for that, and especially after programming it and having it ready to switch for different set lists and stuff like that. And I loved it. It's a great pedal. I still think it's a great pedal. I don't think it's going to lose its value anytime soon. except for when it goes on sale. So if you're trying to sell a used one, then it might, that might be a thing. But with inflation and everything, and tariffs and all that other fun stuff, who the hell knows what's going to happen with everything. It's a weird fucking time. It's a weird fucking time. And yeah. Okay. So anyway, I had I was renting from Buy or Borrow for a little while, and got the H90 on loan from them for a few weeks or whatever. And I was like, this thing's amazing. And, but I just at the time couldn't or didn't want to spend that kind of money on a pedal. And, but after a while, and then I was putting this together, I was like, I know that H90 just sounded so good. Everything was so good with it. It has many capabilities. Even if it wasn't on this big pedal board, I would put it on a smaller pedal board and use it with the inserts on there, so I could do some cool stuff with that and not have to worry about having a switcher or anything like that if I wanted to downsize for whatever band I'm in, whatever I plan on doing. I've been in the studio for quite a few years now, not playing live, but I'm ready to get back out there. Mainly, I wasn't playing live because I have twin boys, and they're going to turn 8 soon. And so if anybody, knows what it's like, especially, I wasn't a dad until 43. So, it's a lot to, it's a big change for somebody who, went through their whole life kidless, childless. Anyway. I'm just yapping. I'm yapping. You know what I mean? Letting you into my world. This channel kind of stayed away from who I was, I guess, more or less, and just stayed with gear. But that's boring to me now. I'm just bored with all of it. I just want to create and show people how I create, and maybe give some peek behind the scenes type of stuff, and do some studio things here, show you guys what it's like here when I am tracking bands and stuff like that. And
I accidentally hit my rim on one part of that. So
I heard it.
I heard that as a rim instead of snare.
We're gonna
just do it again. Fuck it.
You want to do it again?
Can we do it again? Just do it again.
She broke it 2 weeks later, and I still ain't right. When you find out about a gypsy charm, she'll two-step into another. Hard to love, she's so hard to lose. 1 minute you're flying, next you're crying the blues.
The thought processes, the troubleshooting that happens, the things that can go wrong, things that can go right, you know what I mean? Because when you're tracking, just things can happen, whether it's a signal dropout or a mic goes bad, something, anything. Got to be on your toes is what I'm saying. So anyway, back to the H90. So I got the H90 when I saw the black one. And I'm a sucker for, aesthetics, and I just like black. So, not that I don't like the white version either. I don't know. I saw that and I was like, that's cool. So, and yeah, so I don't know. I bought it, and I was hoping that because it has 2 algorithms at a time, then maybe I could switch some things up and figure out ways to downsize things. But as you can tell, for what I do, it's kind of impossible. I'm really into all these different sounds. I really am. It's just I use all of them. And anyway, like if I could get rid of them, I would. I tried to use the HX Stomp to replace certain things, but as good as it is, it's just still, it's better than the M9s and the M6s and all that crap back then, because they were really flat and sterile to me, and just did not do it. It is better than that, and it is fun as its own thing. And you can use it to just create your own sounds, like completely from the bottom up. But when I would put it next to other things, I just feel like I'm missing certain. It just couldn't get me to where I wanted to go. Not saying I won't use it. I still use it. I still like to use it and just to get quick things down. But when I am I'll play with it a little bit, I'll come up with stuff, but then when I pull out my pedal board and plug into my amp, I am just full on inspired. I'm just way more inspired. I'm more apt to play. I come up with different things, all that stuff. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can do whatever you want with all the stuff, but it's what inspires you. If you like to just plug in a guitar to an interface and then just mess around with plugins and get sounds, and you have a workflow that way that works for you, and you can do it without crazy latency and all that stuff, then that's awesome. And if you like that contained control, because that's what comes with all that, is more control, I understand that. I get that. But if you are like me, where you want to mix things up and sometimes make a mistake that turns into something, or have less control, but having this thing where you need to tame it, because that's for me like loud guitar and amps and feedback and signals, and it's controlling something that is, it's hard to explain it, but it's like, back in the day, watching Jimi Hendrix freaking control his feedback and all that stuff. All those guitar players of that era having to blast things real loud to get the tones that they wanted, and how they mitigated noise or used the noise to their advantage. You know what I'm saying? So we have so many different options these days. So for me, plug-in diving, menu diving and all that stuff can be lame, to say the least. There's a time and place for it, but sometimes I'm just like, even with the HX Stomp or neural, whatever, all those other things, you're just the menu diving, looking for this, getting that, I want this sound, blah blah blah. After a while, it's just And for me, looking down at my pedal board and seeing all my pedals, knowing exactly what they're going to do at any given time, and not like, oh, this is tied to this button now, and da-da-da-da-da. It's just like something different. It's more visceral for me. So back to the H90, what I love is that it has 2 algorithms at a time. You can reverse them. You can have expression over every parameter just about, and you can have inserts in here. So if you want fuzz in the middle of something, or distortion or whatever, you can do that. Say if you want a phaser before your fuzz, like I like to have it, and then a delay after, you can do that, or you can switch them however you want. And that's pretty cool, especially if you just want something in a smaller form factor and you have a lot of effects. I mean, you have a lot. So the other thing that I got the H90 was because you have synth sounds that are better than, or better might not, well, I guess better, more advanced than what you got with the H9. So now you have, they're more, sensitive to your playing, shall I say. It's not just like you hit the string and then this synth sound comes on. It's more intuitive with what you're doing. You can mold the synth sounds to what you're playing and all that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Everything just sounds so good. The MIDI controllable stuff. Let me make sure no one's hit me up. All right, there we go. All the MIDI controlled things and the expression and the ability to turn off one effect at a time or both effects at a time, you know, just simple stuff. Now, I have it all the way at the top of my board because I'm using my Boss to control mostly everything. So, and again, I'm starting to put the pieces together to start writing. I've been writing little bits during this past 2.5 years of YouTube. But I find because I'm doing all these demos, I'm writing small 1.5 minute jams that I never finish. So I got to get out of that mindset because it's a TikTok mindset, you know, what sounds awesome right away type thing. And, you know, how do I expand upon anything that I like and get fulfillment from that? So, yeah. So as you can see, I have some pedals that might seem redundant, but, you know, Old Blood Noise Endeavors does its own thing. Tacticay does its own thing. Digitech Whammy does its thing. C4 has other synth sounds and more control than the H90 does with its synth sounds, but they both sound different and they both have strengths and weaknesses. I think the strength of the H90 is its software is a little bit more intuitive than the software that Source Audio puts out, at least their older software. They've updated it, but it can be a little more flaky, whereas Eventide software is pretty stable to me, and it works well Bluetooth over the iPad. I haven't got it to connect yet to the computer for some reason. It sees it, I connect it, nothing happens. Maybe I need to restart the computer. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But I have it hooked up over the USB-C, which is probably better. All right, so yeah, this has been a lot of talking, and hey, that's what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I don't have a lot of programs in here just yet, but you know, I really like this sticky tape sound because I'm into warped vinyl, vibrato-esque stuff. It's one of my favorite effects. I mean, that's why I got the Chase Bliss warped vinyl when I first found out about it years ago. I mean, that was before they had anything else, actually. But and having the black hole reverb going into it, it's just, you know, you heard that. And then using my whammy to pitch down 4 tones, I'm getting something that, you know, I don't normally get. You know, when I just turn the whammy off, here's the same thing. Sounds good, but when I put the whammy on, it's a completely different guitar. And it's like, because the sticky tape's doing its warbly thing with the tone lower and there's slight latency, tiny bit. Not, I wouldn't play fast stuff with it, but sludgy stuff, yeah, it's going to be up my alley. It gives me the sensation of a slowed down tape machine after you've already recorded. All right, so I used to do that all the time with my 4-track tape machine in the 90s. Record something a little faster, slow it down, and it would sound pretty cool. And I just love that because I'm into just like throwing stuff into a blender and seeing what comes out the other side. You know what I'm saying? So it's always fun for me and to do that kind of stuff. So that's one of the presets I like. Let me take this off. This right here is a band delay, which I was mimicking what I get from a Line 6 DL4 band pass. And let me speed that up. Yeah. So it gives me pretty close to the Line 6 sweep echo, and it's does the thing I like, the swirliness of the phase type thing, without the thinning out of the original signal, because the Line 6 thins the tone out a lot. It also gets muddy and distorted, which is kind of its charm, but this just can do it close enough for me and gets me where I want to be, and I find myself liking it. Now I also wanted to have a flanger, and I don't want to buy a flanger pedal because I don't plan on using a flanger all that much. And that's the wormhole delay. That's kind of cool. I love it. These effects are just... I'm inspired. I'm inspired when I'm using this. Now, boom. Here's a flange. And I'll turn this off. And I have it set pretty subtle, I think. Cool. And then, yeah, you add that with this worm delay. I don't know what that is. If anybody knows, let me know down below. It sounds like something from the 80s, either U2 or something close to that. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's 2 songs in one. Who knows? But yeah, you have this. Whoops. What is this? Program has been modified. Yeah, save the changes. That's fine. All right, so here's... All right. Now, that was going into fuzz. Let me see what happens when, or no, the fuzz was going into the H90. Let's see what happens when I reverse those. Now, this is what's cool. If you had inserts on here, you'd be able to do if you had your fuzz pedal on the inserts in here, you'd be able to change it the way that I'm changing it with the Boss ES8. But let's see. Fuzz. After, whoops, the other way. There we go. Now, the delay might be a bit much. So let's turn the delay off real quick. See what happens going into the fuzz. So it sounded better going into like an overdrive. The fuzz and everything and the death metal pedal was so saturated you couldn't hear the sustains. I probably have to set them different, slightly different. Damn, why is this so high? There we go. Anyway, that's cool, right? You have a phaser in here. Sure. Whoops. Now, I think I set this up trying to get it to sound like my super phaser. But the super phaser just... I don't know, the super phaser just has this sweep that I have not been able to get any digital recreation or something adjacent to it to do exactly how I just hear it. I don't know. Now I know that 99% of people would probably not know the difference as listeners. If you're not a guitar player and you're not playing through your stuff and feeling it, you probably wouldn't even hear those things. But I do, and I care. So, anywho, let's see what else. So we have that. We have, what's this 80s that I made? Oh, God. I'm not sure. Why do you keep doing that? Yeah. All right. Let's see what poly reverse is. I have a poly synth going into a reverse reverb. And I have the mix on the synth at 13, so I'm letting more clean through than I'm letting the synth sound through. So if I turn this all the way up, you won't hear any of my clean guitar. And it tracks well, it sounds good, I love it. But if I put it like I had it, then I can play my notes and just have a pad kind of in the background. All right. Yeah, I'm not here trying to change the world with my playing right now. I'm just showing you stuff, so don't cry. And then here is pretty much like a slow dive patch, really. I'm not gonna play any slow dive because I don't really remember anything that, well, I'm also in drop D, so. And that song is not this kind of sound. But you know, chorus delay type thing. And the delays just, they have the right taper for me. That was the thing that I don't like. The HX stump, the taper is just, they go way too quick. They don't, the way it goes down, I just don't like it. It doesn't, it gets out of the way too quick. I want to have the control to bring it back a little bit if I don't want it to be out there like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to poo-poo the HX stomp or anything. I'm just, in comparison to the H90, you know, I mean, the price difference alone, then you got to factor in, you're paying that much for the effects and the integrity of the reverbs and the delays for me mean a lot. But yeah, so you have so much control, you have all the stuff. The layout on the software is pretty simple once you mess around with it enough. But yeah, you can do whatever you want. And I love how they have this little switch right here. This thing, you can just, oh, I want them in that order. Now the chorus is after the delay. And you can also have these things in parallel so they don't go in or out of each other. So, you know, certain effects you want that. This effect, I think they're going into each other. Let's see what happens in parallel. You know? And then, yeah, what's cool is if you wanted to, then you'd have your insert. You can, if you're running this in mono, like I am, then you could have 2 separate pedals on the inserts. So if you're just like running 1 amp, boom, and you want a fuzz in one spot and blah, 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 you could do that. So pretty cool. And yeah, so, you know, these are just a few things I'm spitballing here talking about. I'm having this is just a hangout for anybody that's just like into this kind of stuff, this nerdy stuff, and having like philosophical conversations about guitar tones and pedal boards and the different ways we use these effects to get to where we want to go. Sometimes I want a clean and pristine. A lot of times I want a crazy, fuzzy, out there thing. Sometimes I want a synth. Sometimes I want the synth going into a fuzz so it's crazy and out there. I like to mix all these things, and I'm into, you know, I'm also into metal type stuff. So that's why the death metal pedal is on there. Because it is very close to the fuzz tones that I get from the fuzz pedals. They're not in these opposite ends of the spectrum. When you know what I mean? Like certain overdrive pedals, especially these days with modern stuff, can be super tight, but missing certain frequencies, I guess, that I like. And yeah, I feel like the death metal pedal gives me the but it's not perfectly tight. And paired with that black metal overdrive from This Heavy Earth, then it tightens up and all that fun stuff. But it's not like ultra modern either. I can do punk, grunge, whatever, that kind of alternative mesh type thing with it. Shoegaze, all that stuff. And that's where I'm trying to mix so many things that I love into my music that they become one, not just like putting pieces together. So, oh, here's the funk part and here's the fucking jam part. Da 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 da. No, this is trying to cram all my influences in so they become a thing that's mine. So that's why the pedal board looks like that, bruh. So anyway, I know this was a long-winded talk, but if you got anything out of this, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell, and yeah, man, if you're into this, I'll see you the next time. Bye.